Alright, lay it on me. It's here to stay, we're not getting rid of it, so just release your hextech memes. So, let's just say that this is quite an eventful week, isn't it? We finally got the dev update after a week of every comment of every league, anything being spammed with hextech chest memes. So of course we all expected Riot to back away, only for them to double down. Now normally this would be damaging on its own, but these news just spread around and they started hitting the audience outside of just League of Legends. So now everyone knows that League is just screwed with the free-to-play formula, and so why don't we dive into what exactly happened in the newest dev update? As always, we get Meddler and Pabro popping up to talk about all the news. And literally, the first thing they mention are hextech chests. So it's awesome to see that they are not just ignoring everything that's happening around them. They know it's a big deal, so it is the first thing they talk about. That's great! What's coming next is not great. They start talking about how League is a free-to-play game, and so their primary way of paying the bills is selling skins. But they are not just paying the League bills, they are also paying for cinematics and events such as Worlds and stuff like that. Which could kinda make you think that yeah, League is dying since it can't pay its own bills anymore. So just to take down that theory, immediately after this they also confirmed that over the past few years, League actually had a pretty stable player base. More on that, the cost of developing League has been pretty stable too. So the issue is not that people are playing League less, that doesn't seem to be the case. Instead, the issue is that, especially recently, League started struggling to generate enough revenue. And I'll be honest, I have no reason not to believe them. Literally everything aligns with this being true. Think of it like this, League has been out for 15 years. And it is a game that is heavily relying on people picking their favorite characters. So after all of this time, everyone pretty much found their favorite character, and if they were ever gonna spend on cosmetics, they probably already own their favorite skin for their favorite champion. This is simply how character-based multiplayer games work. Sooner or later, people will get comfortable with the cosmetics they own for their favorite characters. And if not, then they are still waiting for Riot to release the perfect skin. The issue is, League has 170 different champions. What are the chances your favorite champion is gonna get a skin in a year, on top of which it has to be a skin that you love? I hate to be the guy to point this out, but this is how these live service games are designed. Their monetization system simply has a cap. Sooner or later, you were gonna hit it. So, what would be the solution to deal with this?
As a free-to-play game, skins are the primary way League pays its bills.
Damn it! So yes, Riot doubled down on hextech chests not belonging in League anymore. They said that originally they were used to reward players spending their time in League, but for a while this worked, and then people started using hextech chests as a primary way to acquire skins. And that seems to be the issue. Which resulted in a lot of players having massive libraries of free skins. Now, to be fair, I do believe this is true. Many of us have literally over 100 skins on our account that we got for free. And it is all skins that we don't care about. And that is the catch. What they are saying is not wrong. But what they fail to see is that getting a skin you like for a champion you play from a hextech chest that also has champion shards and emotes and ward skins, on top of a lot of icons, well, it's like winning a lottery. So if you look at the numbers, sure, people are getting a lot of raw value from the hextech chests, but when you have a look at what people are actually getting, I would not be surprised if hextech chests shaved like 10% of the value that people would have otherwise purchased. That said, there is something else that Meddler mentioned, which not a lot of people talk about.
And an increasing number of players ended up with substantial skin collections for free. This meant that purchasing skins directly didn't make sense anymore to a lot of players. because they were happy just waiting to get something eventually.
This is interesting because psychologically, this makes sense. It is a known fact that in the world of microtransaction, all you need to do is to make the person pay once and make them invested in your product before they really start spending in your game. This is why literally every free-to-play game ever has that one cheap bundle at the very beginning of the store when you first start playing. So maybe it is possible that hextech chests are preventing people from making that first purchase. Sure, we are talking about a sinister strategy in the world of monetizations, but maybe it is true that people are not spending on League because they are waiting to win the lottery. I'm not sure how many of these people there actually are, but sure, there is the possibility. And Riot says that this is why they realized that hextech chests are not sustainable long term. So they had to make changes. They didn't want to go back to the old days of League where no one got any free skins, but at the same time they knew they couldn't be giving away as many free skins as they did now. And that is when they actually bring up something interesting. Pabro mentioned that before they made the decision to take away hextech chests, they did try some other things to get some sustainable income. What's interesting is that all of these are things that people called out Riot for in the past. The first thing they did is that they increased the number of skins they released. I remember this vividly. This was around the time when Riot fired a lot of artists. They started outsourcing them from people outside of the company. And at the same time, they started releasing a lot of skins in every new skin line. The issue was that, connected to this, there was also no other gameplay in League at that time. But yes, I remember that happening. Next, they introduced premium cosmetics. That is something we made a lot of videos about. After which, they expanded the kinds of cosmetics that they are offering, and they will continue to do so. So no, the experiments are not going away. And since Riot will never directly sell power in their games, they were forced into making people pay more for the skins. So they end this part with...
We believe a change like this, while unpopular, is the right call and allows us to deliver not just on our plans today, but also our plans for League in the future.
Absolute bullshit, and we can disprove that in like 15 different ways. So let's quickly break this down. A wise woman once said, "If you're a broke boy, just say so." Anyway, League has an issue with the fact that it is not generating as much revenue as it once did. And so while the costs are not higher, the income is lower. Again, I have no reason to believe that Riot is lying to us here. All the metrics we have seen agree with this. Again, sooner or later you will just find your character with your skin and you will stop looking for more. This is simply the wall the game hit once it got too many new characters. And with 15 years of releasing skins, it is harder and harder to make something creative again. So in response, Riot believes that the hextech chests are giving people too many skins for free and therefore they are not buying RP anymore. This is 100% false, because hextech chests have the illusion of having high value, but they never actually give you anything you really want. Or more specifically, they never give you anything that you would have otherwise spent RP on. That's simply because the entire drop pool is too diluted. Secondly, they say that they tried premium cosmetics, but they don't say how that went. Like, from this post, they make it seem like it actually failed, like the gacha skins are not making any money. But as far as we know, it was a success, otherwise we wouldn't see so many of them. So if you found a new way to monetize League that is aiming at the top 1% of the spenders in the game, why are you also taking away the free option? You can't even get the things from the gacha machine in the free options. This just doesn't make sense. It is two completely separate systems that don't tap into each other. So if you found a solution to a problem that works, even if it is not perfect, why do you take away other systems instead of just making the thing that works better? This is what I don't understand. If you think that this gacha machine can help League, then sure. I always said that the gacha is stupid, but I understand that Riot can use it to get a lot of income. But at this point, I would rather see them go hard into the gacha system and let people have their free hextech chests. To be really sinister about this, even if the gacha skins have all the creativity, you can still use it for marketing. Imagine all the people who have all the skins they got for free, which are just cool, but then they get into a game where they see one of the gacha skins and they realize it's not as cool as that. That's a made-up scenario. I don't think the Jinx skin was that cool, to be honest. Like, there is no reason to actually take away the free cosmetics if you utilize the paid ones better. Am I losing my mind here? I'm so confused. They are targeting whales, it is working, but they are taking away stuff from the small fish too for no reason. Worst of all, in this dev talk where they talk about the problems, they also just straight up mention the solution.
Now, our belief as a company is that delivering great experiences for you will lead to great results for Riot. We want to deliver the best experience we can, that you can play forever without spending anything, so that you only spend money when you think we've made something great that you want to spend money on.
This right here! I still believe that the main reason why people don't spend in League anymore is because the quality of the skins went down because of what they mentioned. They pushed out too many skins which hit the diminishing returns really quickly. I mean, you know what we used to get? Stuff like Gentleman Cho'Gath, Corporate Mundo, Brolaf. Are these stupid? Yes, but they had a soul. And that's because these were made with the idea of the champion first. This is literally what Riot said they would be doing, so what's going on? But the other problem is that all the skins we get these days are expensive. You remember all the 750 RP skins? Sure, the quality was low, and most of the time it was just a gimmick. But if that gimmick was good, it could outsell any other skin. And that is also partially because it was cheap. League does not have these anymore. They have skins for whales and they have skins for super whales. They also have skins for the moderate spenders between 10 and 15 bucks. But what if I just want to spend 5 bucks on League instead of Starbucks? What do I get? 2 pulls on the gacha machine. So yes, League has nothing for the low spenders. And that is kinda the situation in a nutshell. League has a problem, they seemingly found the solution, and the solution isn't likely enough, so instead of improving the solution, they are taking away from the free-to-play players in hope that they pay. I wish there was some kind of a light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm pretty sure there's not. So let's keep going with this update, because outside of progression and monetization, there are some devs who are working their asses off to do some really cool things in this season. So next, they actually talk about improvements to the Battle Pass. I mean, look at Fortnite or Marvel Rivals. Those Battle Passes are cool. And thankfully, Riot agrees that the quality of the skins that the Battle Pass is giving us could be higher. So there will be some more pronounced changes to the champions as they get new skins, which might also include some champions getting skins outside of the base theme of the season just to be creative. And while this will not reflect in the Act 2 of Season 1, it is something we should be able to see in Season 2. A new addition is that on top of unlocking a skin for a champion, the Battle Pass will also give you the champion directly, which is a good change. Especially with the champion acquisition in general slowing down. Also worth mentioning is that the Battle Pass will not affect champions getting skins outside of it. Meaning that if a champion gets a skin on the Battle Pass, they can also get a skin outside of it the same year. Next, on the topic of progression, there were some missions which people hated, so Riot is removing them. For example, missions where you had to play with a paid skin present in the game, or the harder missions such as taking down 5 turret plates in a game. All of those should be gone. Also, TFT is now getting its progression doubled for the Battle Pass. After which we get to Riot Frogzone and Cadmus, who talk about the gameplay side, which is pretty good, thankfully. First they talk about feats of strength, the big topic of this season. After they made some changes, for example, First Blood not being that important anymore, as well as nerfs to boots, apparently the rewards are pretty stable now. The topic of toxicity that is still related to that is kinda a separate thing now, I guess. Then when it comes to Atakan, who was introduced as a new mid-game objective, as we mentioned last time, the rewards from Voracious Atakan were a bit too powerful, mainly the fact that the respawn was instant, meaning that in some cases it was far more efficient to int than to recall. Well, the timer is simply being increased, so there are some fixes there. Also, with this season, there were some complaints about the Noxian Summoner's Rift. Everyone likes the theme overall, But for the map specifically, there were some complaints that it feels a bit too dark and a bit too gloomy, which sure, I understand, I mean, it is the tundras of Noxus. So to bring it back a little bit closer to the original Summoner's Rift, there will be some changes present in Act 2. So the team still wants to do more of these, they can see the success behind this. People really like it. But they can't go as wild as they perhaps hoped they could. So you know what? Great job, Riot, at listening to feedback. After this, they also talk about Swift Play, which far exceeded their expectations. Apparently, a lot of people play Swift Play, including me. My only issue is, Swift Play is not that swift. It hit their goal of being about 5 minutes shorter than normal Summoner's Rift, which is still 35 minutes. I think 30 should be the cap. And so they are introducing a new mechanic where at a certain time, all structures will start to burn towards the Nexus. So at that point, the team that has dealt the most damage to the enemy structures will win eventually. After which they also talk about Arena, which is having a comeback. Since everything is Noxian, all the arenas are getting a Noxian upgrade. They are all getting turned into Noxian Reckoning arenas, with some of them getting remakes. For example, the Koi Pond will now have a circle, so you can now run around the islands finally. And there is a whole new Reckoning arena on top of that, which has destroyable pillars, making the entire arena a lot more interactive. Now, when it comes to the progression, Arena will be able to progress both Masteries and the Battle Pass, if only Masteries still had hextech chests, and they are introducing a whole new fame system. Essentially, the more fame you get, the more augments you unlock. You are not really unlocking power, you are just unlocking options. Think of the progression in something like Slay the Spire or maybe Balatro. Also, Guests of Honor are a new thing. They are very similar to cameos, which we've had before, but this time it is just whole new mechanics for the arenas which people can vote on. Yes, if there are some cameos which you just really don't like, you can vote on not getting them. So overall, the gameplay team is killing it. If only it wasn't overshadowed by something else. So then, finally, we had a look at the new Masteries. They look fine. The Battle Pass is also retroactively getting the blue essence it lost, which means that, yes, a Blue Essence Emporium is also coming back. At least there is something for the free-to-play players. Then True Skill 2 is being tested for Swift Play and Arena. In case you don't know what this is, True Skill 2 is a system that looks at how good you really are at the game. It is not just looking at KDA and stuff like that, it is looking at your inputs and what you're doing. So with this, matchmaking should be a lot better. Then there is Streamers mode, which just hides your name, and only you can see that, so it doesn't really help that much. And finally, they also teased the theme for Season 2. After the Noxian theme, it should be a palate cleanser. They even tease that every summer the theme is more heartwarming, such as a Star Guardian or Animal Squad. So we should get something like that this summer, which makes me think maybe it's not gonna be canon. However, that is something I didn't see anyone theorize about. Because no one got that far into the video. Because of course, everyone is talking about that one topic. And I'll tell you what, I don't even wanna look down there. There's gonna be like 800 chests hiding there.